Hey folks, welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com for Tuesday, January 22nd, 2008. Well, where do I start today, guys? Unbelievable. I can tell you that without a doubt, this is one of the wildest markets I've ever seen. I don't even know where to start with you guys today talking about what's going on out there. I guess let's start a couple days ago. Monday, the markets were closed. That's Martin Luther King Day yesterday. And what should happen? But the futures were open till 11:30 a.m. East Coast time. Well, all I can say is they got crushed. And this was on world selling. All right? We saw massive sell-offs all around the world, from Asia to Europe to India, all around the globe, major sell-offs. This triggered the futures to drop huge. The German stock market on Monday dropped almost 8%, 7 and change. Hong Kong, between yesterday and today, dropped almost 15%. And this was massive selling on fear that Bush's stimulus plan was not going to hold up and help the economy in any which way. And I'm going to flip to the chart so we can actually look at the Nasdaq here today. Now, this seems like a year ago, to be honest, when this is, even though it was yesterday and today and this morning, it seems like a year ago because so much has happened, and it's incredible to try and fit this all into this little video, but I'm going to do my best here. Well, yesterday we had the major sell-offs around the world. The futures got rocked. Last night, and we're talking about probably about midnight, and then again I was up around 3 a.m. checking the futures, we saw the Dow futures down over 600 points. Indicating a drop on the Dow of 600 plus points. The Nasdaq was down over 100. And this morning, lo and behold, the market opens and the Nasdaq's down 120 points. Huge drop, as you can see here on the chart. This is the Nasdaq daily chart. We opened all the way down here. Look at this sell-off from here. Now, you guys know I've been pounding the table that they're going to cut rates before the meeting. Anyone that's been watching these videos knows that I've expected it since mid-last week. Ever since after that CPI data came out, I expected it. It was even more obvious to me that it was going to happen today, and I'll explain why. Number one, not only do you have a U.S. issue now, but world markets are getting crushed. So you're going to have pressure on the Fed from all around the world, world banks all around, the Europe banks, the Asian banks, all around. You're going to have this pressure on Bernanke to lower rates to save the U.S. market from going into recession. Now, you guys know how I feel. Lowering rates here is only psychological. It really doesn't do anything in the near term to help the market avoid a recession. If we're going to go into a recession in the next couple months, it's going to happen whether they lower rates or not, but psychological is a big deal. Let's be honest. You know, if we all feel better, then maybe the markets perform better, and around the world everyone does better, etc., etc. Well, that's what was happening today. They cut a little before 8:30. We saw the futures mammoth pop. The futures were down 65 points, and all of a sudden, within a split second, they were down 25. On the S&P, that is a huge move. You don't see that very often, guys. And let me show you the intraday move here on the ES future chart here. All right, let's get that up. And here we are. This is the move right here. So you had a blast off, and then right away we saw selling come in. Selling, selling, selling. The market opens, and we finally make a move. And the move was pretty good all day, intraday, as we continued to trade higher most of the day. And then we got into this kind of trend area. And I'm going to show you this. We had a kind of a triple top area right here, where we came up three times and tried to break out, or 2 times after the initial move. And then we had this area right here. So we really got into a channel, and you guys know I'm big on channels and focusing on breakouts and breakdowns, but really all day this is what happened here. Alright, so you had once we had this initial move leading up to about 11 o'clock, we settled into this range and just bounced up and down. And you can see this move here, how key the channel was. And if you were a scalp player and quick on the trigger, you could have shorted the top of that channel and covered at the bottom, etc., etc., and gone back and forth and just played each way. But needless to say, an unbelievable day. The Nasdaq closing down 48 points. Just tremendous drop. The Dow was down 128. The Dow was down as much as 400 and change at the start of the open here this morning. So it was just unbelievable. The blood was running this morning. They quickly dug us out with that rate cut. That seemed to soothe the Europe markets, which most of them closed flat to positive today after getting nailed yesterday. Now the question becomes, and again, there's so much information to go over here, I just don't even know where to start. The question becomes, what do we see tomorrow in the markets? Or what do we see in the Asian markets tonight? Because Japan will open at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and the Hong Kong market will follow with China. Now, Hong Kong down 15%, in my opinion, seems a little overdone. And in a normal situation, considering it dropped so much and the Nasdaq was only down a small percentage today, about 2% or a little more than 2%, you would expect a bounce. But there's one problem, guys, one problem, and that problem is Apple Computer. All right, so yes, today, by the end of the day, we're saying, all right, well, this market really is actually kind of bullish. We're not closing down that much, considering world markets sold off 10% on average, probably around the globe since the U.S. was closed. You would have thought the U.S. would have sold off and kind of come into range with them. But needless to say, the market did not do that based on the Fed. Now, again, the only caveat to this was Apple's earnings after the bell, and we talked about this in the Intra Day Stock Chat, which every one of you should be coming to join, by the way. Just a phenomenal chat, and it was all up to Apple. And Apple came out with earnings and warned. And here's the level 2 of Apple, guys. Not pretty. Apple right now, and it's about 5 o'clock Eastern Time p.m. here in the evening, and Apple's trading down in the 139 level after closing at 155 and change today. Huge drop on Apple. This is not good, folks. Tech will be weak tomorrow based on this. Sympathy sell-offs in research in motion. Google, Baidu, you name it, they're selling off after the bell here. Futures now are down 8 points on the new session, which started at 4:30, and that's purely based on Apple Computer. And so the question then becomes, how much do these Asian markets take into effect Apple? Because needless to say, they're due for a bounce, and I'm going to bring up Apple's chart here. All right, we can see Apple here, and here's the Apple chart. So you see the massive sell-off already, but as of now, Apple's trading down here if this were the chart to show us the after-hours activity. All right, so this is going to be key to watch tomorrow. The key also will be how these European and Asian markets start overnight. If they bounce nicely, it may help the U.S. markets a little bit here, but we'll have to monitor very closely. I happen to think the Nasdaq will be very weak here with the techs, and the Qs is the ultimate one, which really is the key here with technology. All right, so keep a close eye on that. Here, folks, is the daily QQQ chart. And this is what really Apple and all these big cap tech, and I've always talked about this in the videos, this is really what we have to watch. And I said before, when this breaks down from its range, and I'll show you this quickly here on the trend tool, and we talked about this a while ago, any of you that have been following for weeks now, you'll know. When we said we broke down from this channel here, that would be a major breakdown in these stocks, and so it has been. And you're going to see the tech going to be very, very weak here. Actually, the QQQ is actually trading down 50 cents more than it closed at. It closed at 44.18. It's trading at 43.50 right now, so actually down about 70 cents on Apple. So we are going to have some issues tomorrow in regards to this. There were some bright spots today in the market. Financials, Goldman Sachs doing very, very well. Also, not only did Goldman Sachs do well, but retailers happen to do decently. Stocks like Best Buy, BBY. For the market being down bad, this stock was up $1. Best Buy. Circuit City, up 79 cents. That's almost a 20% move off the lows here. So there were bright spots out there, but ultimately technology, this Apple news, is not going to be good for the market. So again, we're going to have to watch how Asian markets open tonight, and we're going to have to see how Europe opens overnight, and then we're going to base this and see where we go tomorrow. But right now, the futures are showing us that we are trading down again, and we'll see. Now, the one thing I want to touch on, guys, and this is so key. This morning, I got up and we were all very happy, in the chat, or at least I was happy and my partners were happy, because we said, okay, maybe this is the capitulation day. And you need a capitulation day where everyone panics, sells, and the markets just get obliterated, and then that usually signals a bottom. And then you kind of get back to that normal market where it starts to move up again little by little, and you have a couple down days, but it's back to normal. Not this craziness where since January 2nd we've sold off huge. Okay? Now, the key here, folks, is this. It was looking like that was going to happen. Okay? It was looking like this was going to happen, but all of a sudden the Fed came to the rescue. And again, intervention by either the government or the Fed again stopped what I believe would have been a near-term bottom in the market before a bounce. So essentially what I'm saying here, folks, is that if the Fed had not come out, and listen, the Fed might have needed to do this, and I thought I don't know if I would say that they needed to, but for the market psychology and for the markets not to drop huge, yes, they did. But what I'm saying here is that sometimes that's not a bad thing. And what we would have gotten today was that panic sell-off probably. We would have seen the markets capitulate here, reach that level where you can actually inch back in, where everyone kind of throws in the towel, and then we can start getting back to a normal trading day. Now what we're seeing here is Apple coming out with new news now after the bell, and again, this is going to be we're still waiting for that capitulation move, and you have to say, folks, we had a nice tail on this market, and this is a beautiful tail right here on this market on the Nasdaq, on the ES futures, and we'll show the SPY here quickly, and we'll bring that up here. Great little bottoming tail here again, and a little positive setup on the charts, but again, with Apple's news now, and needing that capitulation move, we may not be done to the downside. I hope we are close, because I would like everyone, I know everyone is feeling the pain out there. Anyone that has a 401k and IRA with money invested is feeling the pain. Okay, folks, that's enough for today. I'm sure I've overloaded everyone's circuits. Let's see where this market brings us. We'll be back with another video tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Be safe. Be careful. Talk to you tomorrow.